Number two, sometimes there's confusion regarding our emotions and we don't know why we feel what we're feeling. So, to clear up the confusion, let's define primary and secondary emotions. And if you recall from the last video, we did discuss primary emotions. Primary emotions are instinctual and natural and are typically how we react to events or situations. These are typically the first emotions you feel for any given circumstances. Secondary emotions are a learned response to cover up a sensitive emotion with a less sensitive emotion, or in other words, they are a reaction to an emotion to cover up that emotion. Secondary emotions can last much longer than primary emotions. Often we have difficulty knowing how to act on our emotions due to the fact that many of our emotions are, quite frankly, secondary emotions. Let me give you a hypothetical example of how this works. So a dad sees his 5-year-old son running out into the street. The dad chases after him and stops the son from running into the street because he feels a sense of fear and panic. The dad then yells angrily at his son, and his 5-year-old son begins to cry. So here, the primary emotion of the father was fear for his son's life, and his secondary emotion was anger. And what's useful here, if the father were more aware of his emotions, in other words, more connected or grounded in his awareness of his own feelings, he might have been able to recognize his secondary or less sensitive emotion of anger, and consequently, he could have responded in a more appropriate and constructive manner with his young son. And some of you might be wondering, well, how do we determine if anger is a primary or secondary emotion? Oddly enough, shame and anger are two of the most common secondary emotions. Shame is usually a convenient emotion that can be used to cover up possible feelings of sadness or fear. Anger is also a convenient emotion that is used to cover up more primary emotions like hurt or sadness. An example of this would be an individual I was working with a few years ago. We'd been working together for some time, and I remember one particular day, she entered my office and was very angry. As we began talking, she told me that she and a number of other employees had gotten laid off that day. She admitted that she was very surprised and stated she was very angry with her boss and wondered why he hadn't given her a heads up. She further stated that she had worked long hours and felt that she had been very loyal, and actually, she had recently received a promotion. As we talked further, she began to express concerns about whether or not she would have enough money to support herself. She then expressed concern about how long it might take her to find another job. Clearly, her feeling of anger, a secondary emotion, was being used to cover her true feelings of fear, a primary emotions, and being able to provide for herself.